let's say. So, and Professor Kohtamäki is going to make a presentation on the new reforms that have been taking place in Finland in higher education, especially at the university side of the higher education in Finland, and how the universities are being influenced by this reform. So please, Professor Kohtamäki.
Thank you, Elizabeth, so much. Okay, let's start by saying good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for this great opportunity to speak to you from Finnish higher education and higher education reform. Thank you very much for Elizabeth for your nice opening words and making this all happen. And we drove from Sao Paulo to Campinas this morning, and it was very safe drive sitting beside Elizabeth. And she was explaining me about the places and traffic and audience sign and what does it mean. Everything is excited for me, being in such a big country like Brazil. And I think that you all know where Finland is.
Yes.
Good, yes. Very good. Yes, yes. At least perhaps you checked before coming here that okay, Finland. I don't know if it's they're far away. So when I flight, it took around 16 hours. There was no direct flight, but via Amsterdam. Tomorrow I will take a flight back home. Then. But anyway, this has been so nice week and full of new experiences, and I hope that you are able to take a grip of this presentation. I know country contexts are totally different, but I think that sometimes you learn in a way when you compare two things that are totally different, and then you notice, okay, there are similarities, but perhaps there are certain reasons why there are differences and why there are some similarities as well. But it's easy to come to a new campus. Okay, this is university. I have worked in university since 1999, so university context is, I think, it's globally globally similar. There are academics, there are administrators, students. So it's like coming home. And I heard that you have different backgrounds here, so this will be a big challenge for me, that I will speak in a way that you know what I'm trying to say. But please, I think that after this there are opportunity to make questions, and if there are during presentation something you do not understand, or like, I think that it's okay to also make a question during presentation. So let's go to the topic. It is higher education reform 2010 in Finland, and then Elizabeth recommended me to take a theoretical link to this, and here it is resource dependence theorem. I have applied in my previous research this, and now I'm looking this data using these theoretical lenses what it tells the situation, this reform, using these certain type of terms and lenses. So the context is here. There's some orientation that you will get some basic information, just very in a short way, and then I will tell you what was actually reform in this huge reform, this described in Finland that it's radical reform, very significant reform. And it is true, it was a very big reform. And still it is. It's not reform, sorry, there's one extra, it's one reform only. And then financial autonomy. It was the main stimulus to start to plan this reform. The discussion goes around financial autonomy. And that's why I like to look it from that perspective. And then some version of resource dependence theory, and then I combine this theory and financial autonomy. So, you have private and public universities, but in Finland, all universities are public. And we have beside universities polytechnics, as you have here. It's a new sector established in 1990s. But in this speak, I will not go to polytechnics, because this reform is only focused on universities. There is another reform related to polytechnics, but that happened last year. And this was in 2010. So all universities have same public mission: do research, do teaching, and do third mission activities. And then this German Humboldtian ideal, here the people from the Department of Education, you know Humboldt, and the idea there is that you should create and have linkage between your teaching and research activities. And this is something that is all the time relevant in Finland. And when you are teaching, you give teaching based on your research. And the number of institutions is 14, so only 14 institutions, but it's quite big amount when thinking that the population in Finland around 5 million, less than 6 million people only. So it's from your perspective quite a small village. So I notice you are smiling there. They are very small. And the biggest university is in Helsinki, 35,000 students. It is the oldest. They are situated in Helsinki. And the smallest one is University of Art. It is also in Helsinki. There is only 2,000 students. And the others are between these. In Tampere University we have 15,000 students, and it is the second biggest. We are regional universities, meaning that we are located around Finland. And it is one important principle, the equity principle, that students have access to higher education wherever they live in Finland. So also in the northern part of Finland there is University of Lapland. And how this reform was done, it is the new Universities Act 2010. It was the main policy tool, how it was planned and implemented, all was related to these regulations. And then those elements, what is it about? So, as I said, policy tool was this new act, and then the main target or vision was to extend the financial freedoms and create universities as independent legally and financially. And now they are. And then internal organization, typically it is in a way that you have three levels. You have faculty level, department level, and university level, above university level, then faculty and then unit level. This law allows that there is university level organization and then the next one, but the third level is not needed. It is up to autonomy of universities if they create. Let's start from this slide again. So, Universities Act is the main policy tool, how this reform was planned and implemented, and the implementation started in 2010. And the main idea there was to extend financial autonomy of Finnish universities. And that's the reason universities got independent legal status, and now they are independent financial entities. So this is related to our national legal system, how the status was demanded the change in legislation. Before, I will come to this later, but before universities were state agencies. And this internal governance, it's possible to have two-type governance structure. Now, as it is in Tampere University, and then composition of governing board. The university level governing board, in early it was demanded that there need to be at least one or two. Typically there was one or sometimes two, but this law demands that there must be 40% of the whole board composition external members. The others are the 60 internal members coming from university community. And then the status of rector. Early, she or he was elected by university community, but now university board selects rector. And it is a kind of chief executive officer type of status, meaning that she or he has responsibility of strategic management, financial management, and the academic activities. She is the top level manager there. And of course it's usual that rector has to help other people, vice rectors. In Tampere we have 3 vice rectors, one for research, one for teaching, and a third one for third mission activities. And then staffing policy. Early we strictly followed the state staffing norms, but now you can create more independent staffing policy. And universities have independent employer status. Actually, early university staff were civil servants and the employer was state. But nowadays, university is your employer. You got salary from university. And then funding model, it was part of the reform, it was updated a bit, but we had also before the reform a performance-based funding model, meaning that there are indicators that define the level of funding university get from the state. So these are the main elements of this reform, and I will focus on this financial perspectives. So, why this reform? This was not anyhow any Finnish innovation. There were few university rectors that were at the beginning of 2000 very active. They followed what happened in UK, in United States, and oh, they are so autonomous, those universities. We are only state agencies here in Finland, and we cannot borrow money, and we cannot own the buildings or anything. That we need those freedoms in order to compete with other universities and create new type of cooperation with enterprises. And this movement was coming from countries where this has taken place early, and European Union supported and still support this type of movement pretty much. And why? It is to serve the progress of knowledge and innovation economy. So financial autonomy and financial independence is certain kind of incentive to improve your innovation performance and go towards develop knowledge economy. But then this global new public management is also because one dimension there is that an autonomization of public sector organization, and this happened in Finland. Then European University Association, they have started to follow the level of autonomy, financial autonomy, organizational autonomy, and so on, how much each country has autonomy. And then different countries, oh, we are not so autonomous like that country. We need autonomy also in that respect. So it gave us a stimulus that you should also extend your own autonomy. And it is the idea that universities should be more responsive to environment and so on. So, before this reform, one important step in 1980s, before that time, there was detailed financial stakeholder, meaning that in state budget was defined the amount of money for professor salary and professors and other academic staff posted in the state budget, your copy machine, it was earmarked money for that. So it was very, very input-oriented and earmarked funding system. And then it was changed between 1980s to block grant funding. So it was the first big step towards financial autonomy. But then that was not enough. Around 2005 it was reports and goals also in our government, national government plan that institutional financial autonomy is to be extended. And then Tuumen committee was nominated by the Minister of Education, and I served as a secretary to this Tuumen committee in that time. So I supported, they work and made analyses and international comparisons and so on, and we interviewed several external stakeholders. So they prepared a report to the ministry, and based on that report, ministry started to draft new legislation. So actually, in its current form, financial autonomy is quite new issue and policy in Finland. And the universities have supported this trend pretty much, that okay, it's fine that we will get more autonomy and our destiny is in our own hands. So here you can see, you can read this, what the literature says about financial autonomy. Now you need to make a difference between financial autonomy policy and then what is actual financial autonomy. They are not identical issues. So there are many good things that are believed to be achieved when you have more financial autonomy. So what changed? So now all universities, we call them legal persons under public law, and then two private foundations. Now I say that we have no private institutions, but actually two institutions, they are owned by private foundation. But the privateness ends to that point because they have exactly the same public mission and public funding system, also those private foundation universities. And then this financial autonomy. If you read Finnish Universities Act, you cannot find the word financial autonomy there. You need to interpret from the law what all can be regarded as new parts of financial autonomy. And of course, each university as an entity, new financial, legal and financial entity, uses its new form of autonomy as it prefers. So this is quite new. This has now existed around 5 years, and universities are have been operated in the new system 5 years now. So it's not quite a long time, but anyway, we do not speak anymore new law, it's university law, but in that time it was new university law. So here you can see a comparison of how was it before the reform and now after the reform. So this blue text is what you can have after what are the characters of this new situation. So there are new freedoms and new independence and new possibilities to cooperate with environment based on your own decisions. And of course, financial policies, and you can have donations and own buildings like this. That is this autonomy about. Is this clear for you? You are good for? Yes, good. Then, what didn't change? First of all, the state funding. It was written in the first preliminary plans that state funding will not be changed in the sense that state is still responsible of universities' funding. So, it is still the money in state budget, but it is allocated using certain formula to universities, and on average 65% of university incomes is coming from state budget. But of course there are institutional variations that depend on your study fields and size. You can have more state funding or less than 65, but this is an average figure from Finland as a whole country. And then freedom of research, art and education, this is guaranteed in constitutional law, don't touch in them, it is law, and this is related to academics work. And those main tasks, it's a public mission and research and higher education activities and third mission activities. And then free education in Finland for Finnish students. But now this is a new change that from 2017 we will apply tuition fees for students coming from outside European Union. So when this new law was prepared, these tuition fees were put aside because there was, from student perspectives, they were very aggressive that don't touch to this area. We like to have free education, and it has been the case in Finland always. But after 5 years now, the state government has been able to introduce this that universities can charge tuition fees, but not from Finnish students at this moment. Okay, now we will move to resource dependence theory. So if you are not familiar with this theoretical framework, I took some features of it. This was developed in United States, in Stanford University by this Pfeffer and Salasik, and their work was based on power dependence. So they took some steps further to develop this theory. So these are the main terms this theory used: dependence, power, resources. And here the idea is that this analyzes the interaction between two organizations based on resource relationship and power relationship. And meaning that when your funding body funds you, and if there are critical resources for you and you have no other resources available, so this funding body can control your organization and your activities somehow. And so these funding bodies, they have power over the organization that receives those resources. And the organization that gets those resources, it prefers to increase its, to find strategies to increase its financial autonomy in general and guarantee its operations and avoid uncertainty in its activities. So these assumptions are quite simple. Here, looking interaction based on resources, power, dependence, and so on. And then we bring these assumptions to university-state relationships in Finland, in Finnish context, after this reform. And because you saw this figure, 65% is coming from state budget, it does mean that without this support, universities cannot survive. So they compete for governmental co-funding in order to guarantee the incoming flows, resources for each academic year, and continue and develop their teaching and research activities, and also their future. Now this is directly these assumptions from a theory brought to this university context. And it means this, as you can see. So this state funding is a critical resource for universities. Why? I typically answer is that because it is so high amount as an income source. And then universities are dependent of this co-funding. Why? If the government would draw it away, it means that you cannot give teaching, organize your teaching, you cannot recruit students or make any research. So it's critical. And then what type of controlling mechanism or tools there are available for state, and in this case for Ministry of Education? First of all, legislation. This university reform, it's University Act, but there are also other legislation. So in legislation, they are defined your core functions, your purpose, and in your study fields, they are not in Universities Act, but in other degrees, so governance, organization, use of this, and so on. And then this public funding formula. So there are indicators how you are able to get funding for teaching and research. And then this is new term here, performance agreement. It's an agreement for 4 years period, universities and ministry signs together. So each university has its own agreement where qualitative and quantitative goals are defined. They are quite detailed, around 7 to 8 pages documents. They are publicly available and you can read. And these agreements are what universities follow when they operate. And then of course evaluations. You should have a quality assurance system that is audited, and it means that your processes are defined in this system. So these are those controlling mechanisms, main control mechanisms. So it's quite clear that after the reform, the ministry still has power over universities. This is one university or rector. So without ministry support, it is hard to operate. This support refers to this funding, and in other ways the relationship with the ministry. And here you can see this funding formula. I think that this might be interesting for you that as an academics, that how we get funding from the state. So there are, on the left side you can see there are indicators that are related to your education, and then 34% for research, and then there is an additional document, we call it strategic funding. And this is just based on minister's consideration, this third part here. But what is important, from 2015, this was updated in 2013, and then some adjustments were made in 2015. There are student feedback now 3%. So the main indicators, because of the value of the indicator, they are master's degrees, 14%, and the number of students that complete 55 study points per one academic year. This is to fasten the process of graduation, and that students do their studies. And then scientific publication, 13%. I think in the beginning this was criticized that it's quite big percent. 13% is based on your publications, and they are also inside this indicator, sub-indicator. So it is followed in what kind of journals you publish. Is it those low-level or high-impact journals? So they are very strictly followed what kind, and whether it is national or international journal. And then external research funding, 9%. So these are the indicators that university management and also deans take care that your university and your departments is going forward and are able to earn money using these indicators. So I think that this is quite easy apparatus to control universities using these indicators. And academics, I think in Finland they do not criticize, perhaps a bit that it's quite why we are so strictly followed, because this means that there have to be good information systems that collect data of your performance, and then it is submitted to the ministry online. So it's a huge information transferring system as well. And there are quite many indicators here. And this is still manageable, but the more you have indicators, the less manageable it is. But anyway, I could call this is control mechanism. But yes, please.
Question. So let me understand. You have a plan, and you say we are going to do this, this, and that, and then this is evaluated 4 years later. Is that correct? And then you see if the performance was achieved, the goals were achieved according to these weights. Is that something like this?
Yes, it works. Yes, the logic works in this way. Yes.
This is yearly, or every 4 years, or every year you do this, or every 4 years?
Every year, because yes, every year.
Every year.
So I think they have a goal for each year. So if they don't achieve the master degree they put in the plan, they will have 40% less of their funding for the next year.
One thing I'd like you to comment is the number of degrees of undergraduate bachelor's degrees is only 6% rate. And then you have this larger weight of partial credit. So Is this because a lot of students come in and never graduate and you need to do
yes, yes, it's a good question. This is one character of our higher education system, that when students come to university, they get a place direct to bachelor and master level. And usually when you have finished your bachelor, you do not go to work. You directly continue to master level. So actually the main production result is master degree, not bachelor degree. But this is something that our ministry is pushing. Send students to working life after bachelor degree as it in other Europe. Why all should they stay here? Also the master degree. But this is a tradition in Finland, and it is strongly in our mind that when you go to the university, you will be a master, not only bachelor.
Another question, do you follow the Bologna 3 plus 2 plus 3?
Yes.
And so the last question, is this the same for all universities, or each university can do a rearrangement of these weights?
Oh no, what I think that what I understood is that the university can say, I will have a certain number of masters, but
no, but the weights, the weight, for example, the university can choose can a university choose to put more weight on research than on education than this or not?
Yes, it can. And some universities work in this way if they like to emphasize and facilitate, especially go towards as a research university, towards that they put more emphasis to these research indicators. It is part of university's autonomy. So they are balancing inside the system. And this formula is the same for all universities, but inside this formula you can operate as you prefer, but you need to plan very carefully because it has direct effect to the funding level. I do not have an example of a calculation of this from the real example, but when I'm back in Finland, I will ask it from the minister that I'm able to tell the audience how they calculate, because there's certain way to calculate certain phases how they do it, but in principle you get an image from this. The number of indicators, the type of indicators, and the weight of indicators. And here there's this quality, internationalization, and impacts of university. So they are related to higher education policies as well, that you should internationalize yourself, take care of quality and social impacts. But yes, our administrative director of the university, he said that this is very easy, just follow this, then you can get money. It's very simple. Okay. Now we are, from my point of view, we are now coming to the beef. These university-state relationships, that how universities behave. It's okay for them that, okay, we adapt to this funding formula, to this law, and we just follow it. Or do they try to find strategies as resource defense theory assume that you will find strategies to increase your autonomy? How they behave? What is their strategy? Or do they both avoid and adapt or balance? This university reform is currently, we are taking the steps to finalize the report. Me and my colleague, we have served as an expert, commented it, and there was an external company who made huge amount of interviews to different people inside universities and for external stakeholders to analyze the situation to this university reform. But they didn't apply, or we haven't applied this theory. This is only what I take this theory and I try to interpret these findings using this theory. And this is just, I looked 5 institutions, there are much more data. This is just to get an image how it is. But I think that after reading these 5 institutions interviews, it was quite clear for me that it's how it is. So anyway, this interaction, it is active between universities and the ministry. First of all, universities prefer to protect their academic autonomy, so the technical core, so what is going there in research and teaching, it's part of what they like to have, that it's on their own hands. But then this adaptation, let's say ministry-friendly actions, I found that it's quite clear from those interviews that who is the main external stakeholder to your university. It's the Ministry of Education. And it means that after this reform you keep that, okay, ministry is our main stakeholder. So this is a certain kind of implication how you manage your university. That, okay, we are working for the ministry. And then some institutions seems to be active, that they inform ministry that we have this type of internal reforms and we are planning to this type of organization and what we develop and create new research institute. They are active to be visible towards the ministry. We are doing this. And also sending messages that we operate in a way, this formula, according to this performance agreement, and there are signals towards ministry that we have to satisfy you. So I think that this is adaptation. And then operating as a state university. Before it was criticized that we are state aid. Sorry, what about the timetable? How? Okay, thank you. Because I forgot the time here when I'm speaking, but I know you have your own duties as well. So it's serving Finland and as a state university. And then reading carefully performance agreement and then putting them into action. So the targets that are there, you implement exactly those. And then we have another policy that is very important. National strategic development policy, meaning that universities should cut away small institutions inside them and reform their structures, that there are bigger units and so on, and not having those study programs that are not attractive for student perspectives, or there's one professor programs only that create bigger units. It's a very clear message that is going on. And then this following exactly the funding formula. When university get the amount of money from state, you can allocate it inside as you like. You can use this formula the same as state or take another formula. But usually this adaptation means that you use this formula as it is, nationally developed. Meaning that you start to produce those study points and obtain new external research funding and so on. Then, do they avoid? Is there anything about to avoid, meaning that doing opposite, a bit opposite? There were any some examples, radical examples. It's more like this soft avoidance. For example, criticizing research quality, discussing it with the ministry. Is it true? Can we work in a way that these performance indicators really produce good research quality? Because it is expected in a way, okay, by applying certain methods we can produce social impacts. But is it the quality discussion was what is important, and it was raised here. And then those voluntary cooperation between polytechnics, for example, or among universities to create research networks and cooperation in teaching. So it's becoming organizationally stronger. And then this that in regional policies in Finland very important. And if you give inputs to your region, it means that the city where you are located probably give financial support also to your activities. And this is something, it is certain type of soft avoidance that ministry is not so critical to and the main stakeholder. For us, we have also other important the city and or big companies or something like that. So this type of this is soft, let's say, avoidance. What you can find using this theory. And then internally, this situation, it is we who make the decision. Strengthening this type of atmosphere and attitude, that it is not the ministry, it is we inside the university. And then trying to avoid too strong focus on those funding indicators, that you just think them, that think a bit broader way, and create perhaps indicators that fits to your institution when you allocate internal funding. And I think in Tampere there are some indicators that they apply internally in order to boost local regional innovation economy and create something new. And then, for example, giving the focus to research. In the eastern part of Finland, there's a university who like to create a research profile. They have a bigger share. I don't know, it's 55% to allocate to research and less to teaching. So you can make priorities inside the institutions and connect them to your financial allocations. And then, of course, this that how you balance between ministry's control and internally. I think this is an issue of university leadership. But as we know, university is complicated organization, it's quite complex, and we say it's loosely coupled. There can be quite independent universities inside. And this is one comment from a recruiter. He does not mind whether it's good or bad steering, we go just forward. But it depends on the university and its environment, how they perceive this situation and how they behave. But anyway, from these interviews, I was able to read this type of behavior using this theoretical framework. Oh, this is a policy process to remind you that these are very long processes, starting from 2000 and now we are 2016, 16 years process, and this policy problem, let's say it this way, how it was defined, it takes several years. It was not that we decided, okay, let's do this. It was discussed, and then it focused this financial status of university. you can locate this process to this policy process. It's quite clear. Implementation, and now we are evaluating it. And what will happen after this evaluation? I think that anything radical, because the results from this evaluation do not provide any immediate sales needs. Here you can find more information from Finland. So this international evaluation of higher education system from 2015. It's very interesting to read, and also the state of scientific research in Finland. So I'd like to thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'm here to discuss with you. Thank you so much. By the way, this figure is, I live nearby this lake, but these are from the Lapland, from northern part of Finland. Okay.
I have a question about the academic career.
Yes.
I don't know the Finnish system, so did you have a system before the reform of some sort of tenure, stability of faculty? And has it changed or not during this transition, this change? So it's not a state, I understand it's not, the hiring is not under public institutions rules anymore, it can be different.
No. Yes.
And do you still keep some sort of stability for faculty, for professors?
Oh, sure. How professors are now nominated. Early it was different system, and now it's more simple. There's a committee preparing and interviewing and candidates. And then there are also external experts giving the statements of the applicants. And the final say is the rector recruits in our university. It is the rector. And according to law, rector recruits and appoints all university staff, but she or he can delegate part of it to deans, for example. But from faculty perspective, I think the main thing was this, that this procedure, the process is a bit different than early. It's more simple, and what is the most important, you cannot, is it the word compete?
Compete, yes.
Compete. When the rector makes the decision, that's it.
You cannot appeal for
appeal. Yes, appeal. I mean that other applicants, if they feel okay, that applicant was selected, I think that I'm better. I have better CV.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything. It is just this. And then another thing, this process, and what I personally think that it was early more public. You know who were applicants. Now you need to, they were published and it was clear. But now you need to call to university administration. This is the post, who were the applicants. It's not anymore so open.
But this is for professors. The professors,
lecturers.
It's for lecturers.
Yes.
But you also have the academic staff that are not researchers.
Yes, if you have external funding, then you can, by your professor can, okay, I have here a PhD who could take this post. In our university, dean can make an appointment. You just make
the appointment. It's
For certain period.
Certain period,
Yes,
yes.
but those permanent. If it's
But you
permanent,
also,
it's
your PhD candidates are also part of the staff in the sense that they
Yes.
have also the obligation to give some teaching.
Yes, yes, they are part of our staff. They have a contract, and 5% PhD students have to give teaching.
5% of the
The
time.
time. Yes, yes. To evaluate essays, student papers, give lectures, and whatever is needed. Yes.
And they also work as teacher, as
Yeah.
research assistants.
Yes, yes.
Could the doctorate candidate be in charge of one course, or he just,
Yes, sure.
she just
Yeah,
help?
yeah, he or she can be in charge of the course. If there's such an arrangement. Yes, I know it. Actually, I know this, that I remember when I met one professor. He told that, yes, the doctoral student is in charge of it. We were discussing the level of salary. And because the candidate was in charge, of course, he's then entitled to have a bit better salary.
Yeah.
Yes, few euros, yes.
Because the doctoral candidate is employed by the university.
Yes, exactly.
It has a contract.
See, he has a contract.
Okay.
Yes, but of course there are some part-time students that do not work inside. They just do their PhD and work in public administration and just come to doctoral seminars. That's another thing. Oh, yes, but if you, you.
I can control
Yes.
it.
It's just one I have clarification questions. Do the salaries are the salaries negotiated individually, or are they standardized?
There are certain limits, minimum and maximum, and in that way it is not negotiation, but you fill the form and describe your responsibilities, the quality of your work and what you are doing, and based on that paper we have a group who, there's a vice rector including, and then there are representatives from professors and other teachers, and then university, there's director of staffing issues. I don't know what is the exact term, but she's sitting there, and vice rector. And as a group, it is discussed based on that paper, and then the salary is set. Yeah. Yes. And there it is not
Individually.
individually, but you are not present in this situation. No, it's a room where this group is sitting. I know because I'm sitting there. I'm a representative of the university teachers there.
We can just compliment because I was living in Finland for the system during the last 3 months, and I have followed the system in Finland during the last 15 years. And in the post advertisements, there are one issue about to add about 40% of your salary depending on your performance.
Yes, it is part of performance related, but there are a certain amount of yes, this is another performance. Yes, that part of your salary is you describe your and explain what kind of what type is your performance. You yourself describe it, and you submit it to your boss, and then the boss read it, and then they somehow discuss only regarding his performance level. and if they agree, then the paper goes to Dean and the Dean accepted. Yes, but it is only part of the salary. My example was related to the basic level of salary. Yes.
Just finishing my second question. You said in the beginning that universities supported the reform, if I understand.
Support.
They support.
The university supported the report.
They
were in
favor of
The universities,
they like
the universities were in favor of this reform.
Yes.
So my question is, today are the faculty also, have they supported? Are they supporting?
Yes, there are only one opinion. There are critical voices and some professors and then other faculties. Yes, there are also a group of people who criticize this reform, that we need another reform. Yes, but it's not any big group. And the majority of university faculty, okay, I can work in these frameworks, but of course there are that if they have something bad in their life there inside university, this is the reason of this reform. Yes.
Okay. Well, I have a special question. You show a lot of, in your presentation that there was some qualitative evaluation of the quality of the publications.
Yes.
And it seems that the journal publication is more varied than, let's say, books and things like that. So my question is, do you think, of course you don't have data about it, but do you think from your impression that the academics frame their work related using these indicators as they select where they are going to publish?
Impact. It's impact fact.
Impact fact.
Yes, and
even for social, for humanities, because in humanities the people say, well, the journals have no factor.
We know this challenge that different academic fields are not in the same line. These are challenges. Yes, but they are published and there are certain checks. Not perhaps yearly, but once per 2 years, yes.
Okay.
And our library, University Library in Tampere, for example, there is a link to this classification and you can write the journal name there and check what is the level of the journal. Yes.
And about doctoral program, if a master's student here in Brazil, so for foreign students to apply for doctoral degree in Finland, what is the process like? The program, the doctoral program there is completely different from a state university here or a university here. Is it difficult to apply?
No, applying is not difficult. It's quite easy process to apply, but then it's very demanding when university makes selection. So we have 2 times per year you can apply doctoral post in Finland. Or for example now, not in Finland, but for example in our university. It's often called 2 times per year, and it means that you write your research plan, contact potential professor, discuss with him or her, and then it is just your CV and this research plan, you submit it online. And then our administrators contact professors, okay, we have from your field these and these candidates, you can give your statements and your opinion on that, whether to take or not. But it's very competitive. We get increasingly more applications, and international applications are very welcome.
And on the same line, before that, do the doctor students, they have to have classes, they have to make credits? There is a minimum credits to do, or they only do research and is teaching?
Oh yes, there are courses. They have our university provides certain, for example, methodological courses, and those in the very beginning you need, and you take those degrees, and then if you go to international conference and write a paper, you can get also study points like this. But we offer courses where PhD students are not required, but we expect that they attend those courses. And then it is writing your thesis and attending conferences. And yes, there are certain, it's a structure you follow, and then you need to have substance studies in your field. You can take courses in that university where you are a PhD student, or from other university, from Finland or international. And you make a plan with your supervisor. You have personal supervisor, 1 or 2, and together you make a plan how you proceed. And this plan is checked once per year. Yes, there's a certain structure to follow, but it's quite flexible. And different disciplines, the faculties, academic faculties may have different rules. But I'm mostly talking about how we do it.
It's a little bit off the topic of reform, but I'd like you to use your visit so that you talk a little bit about teachers training by universities. The first reason is because there are people here from the School of Education that would be interested. And the second thing is that we read now and then that Finland is always doing so well in the international assessment of students, like PISA. So how do you see the university? What's the role? Do you think the role of universities is really important for that good performance by high schools and basic education, or it's more a institutional, let's say, management system in the schools? How much is the university contribute to that, and how is the teachers training system?
Okay, yes, thank you. This is a good question, and yesterday in Sao Paulo there was a question similar to this, and it was asked what is our secret. And sorry to say, but there's no secret in that respect. Yes, first of all, in innovation rankings, Finland is performing very well. And we have well-developed innovation system in which universities play a very important role. It is partly related to management, university management, that they create and support academics work to have linkages to the environment, companies and so on. But I will come back to this educational issues, that basic education is important, and our teachers are educated in universities, and that education is very good in Finland. Teachers have just, I think, good salaries, and they are very motivated. They are huge people who like to have a teacher occupation, but there are much more applications that can be taken. So the best ones are selected, the most motivated, and I think that the level of basic education, they are good teachers. That's important. And education policy as in Finland, it is one of the priorities of, has been and is still of our national government, and each level of education has their role. And of course this polytechnic sector has its role as a vocational education in an innovation system. And yes, this is public funding, which means that it is one priority in Finland, that take care of education well. And, but there aren't any single factors. I think that it's a result of the various different factors and how they inter or fit each other together, and it has worked well. And of course Finland is a small country, so reforms are quite easy to implement and follow, and this small scale is an advantage. Of course it's a challenge as well, because if you are small, but sometimes it's also your advantage. I'm not sure whether I
think that there is a secret.
What is it?
Finland expend 3/3 of the money for education in basic education and only 1/3 in higher education. It's totally the opposite situation that we have in Brazil. For instance, the money that goes to the University of São Paulo represents 20% of all the money that the Secretary of Education in São Paulo has. But the secondary school, the public secondary school at here in São Paulo has almost 1 million of students, and we only take care of 85,000 students. This is a very different situation.
And the quality of education, of course,
it's a lot of money. Finland really investing in
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm reading an article about Finland education, and we have to consider the history of the country, the location and everything, and the principles that the population has. So it's a small country, and the history is very different from Brazil, and that is a very important factor.
Of course.
Anyway, this is the same speech of the Center for I would like to say that.
At the beginning of our explanation, we talk about the international legal table effect. And how is this today for universities? Do you pay attention in the Times ranking, or people, you lose students for other countries, you try to attract students for other countries, or teachers or researchers, you lose or receive? How is this effect today in media and inside the universities, please?
We haven't been a ranking country, I could say in this way, but nowadays, for example, this global ranking, Arvo, you know it, Helsinki University, the biggest one, is there in quite good position, and the other things are far behind, and there is discussion, and I would say that it is paid increasingly attention, but it depends how much you like to recruit international students, because they follow rankings. But there are some European institutions that have established those rankings that fit better to European context. From there you can find information. Of course, if students ask, we can say here you can find. But from the management perspective, for example, in interviews, I didn't find any mention related to rankings. It's not, for example, China or United States, it's the whole life of the university that from home basis you are in this position now. But in Finland it's not topical. Helsinki University is proud now because they got them. And it was small news in the national newspaper about it, but that's it. Did I answer to your question?
Yeah, I would like to
Yes, sure.
take a question. When the university became autonomy juridical figure, what happened with their staff? They were keep as civil servant, and they started hiring new employee staff and teachers as this new type of labor regime, or they were changed up?
Yes, the status were changed, and this was the transition period that from your civil servant post you transfer to private contracts. Yes, it was transition, but your salary didn't go lower. Yes, it was guaranteed that you can keep the level of your salary.
There is a transition, everyone will be this new type of
new type of contract.
And the people were not angry about
Some were criticized this, but it is not any.
because the difference of the status is not big.
There are certain differences, but nowadays they does not mean you so much. But there were a bit critique, but not strong enough.
Okay.
Yes.
And I have another question. So I think here in São Paulo, when the public state university became financial autonomous in 1989, we received the money, but not this kind of agreement, of performance agreement. So we only received the money, and we made a institutional evaluation according to our own rules, without external participation or a very small.
It's high level of autonomy.
Yeah, it's I think discuss something like this is revolutionary here, and it can have a lot of opposition.
We will have a strike for 1 year.
Yeah. What I would like to open the discussion is like, it's forgetting the strikes and this opposition and thinking a more theoretical level. It would be, I think it would be very responsible to have something like that. Something that you agree, I agree to have this number of PhD students, this number of degrees, not students, this number of masters.
But you could have a pilot in one department, for example, try certain model, how does it work, and what kind of behavior it produces.
Yeah.
Going back to the methodology, the point of view that you took at this resource dependence theory, is it also possible to look at this from a principal agent theory?
Exactly, it would be, we had
because this looks very much like your ministry is your principal, you are the agent, and these relations look very much like a negotiation
Yes,
system.
it's very ideal to principal agency theory, and yes, we discussed, talked with Elizabeth that perhaps we could write together a paper using principal agency theory. It fits perfectly to this type of data, for example. Yeah.
Some more questions? If you don't have any question, I would like to thank again Professor Vuokko, but also to thank all audience, because today we have a very diverse group. We have people from education institute, from odontology, dentistry, from nursing, from physical education, and so on, and the regular one. So I would like to thank everyone and welcome for the next seminar. That will be 8 or 9 November, but we will say this the right date. And we'll be with Rebecca.
Oh, it's 8th or 9th of September.
Yeah, September. Yeah, and it will be about the special program of affirmative action related with centavos, how can I say? People that are centavos is the...
Set.
Before you finish, I want to give you some chocolate from Finland. From our faculty. Okay, but thank you also from my side. This was very happy, and it's always much comfortable when audience have so challenging questions. I'm very happy to discuss with you. Thank you.